Hey there everybody, it's Atherbeeristan back here on the Infinity server with some forestry. We're going to get right to it. No fancy introductions or nothing. So I got the fourth sapling for the walnut tree, and it grew. I wanted to plant it immediately. You can see how all these leaves have the brown nuts on them. That means they're ripe, and I wanted them to be ripe for the video for you guys so you could see that. And it takes forever. But fortunately, this area is chunk loaded and other people are on the server, and all I had to do was log out and go to bed and go to work and come back, and they were ripe, so sweet. These guys are still good. They're not going to be working right now because it's raining. So I cleared out, like maybe 20, 25 leaf blocks. I got 51 walnuts, and that was the first thing I wanted to do because we got to get these squeezing. This would be the process. I already have a little just for the sake of expedient video, but you can see this is the important part. Would you stop it? The important part of harvesting these trees, my goodness, is that you get fruit every leaf block. That's a very critical genetic trait, and we're harvesting this by hand right now. We could just chop the tree down, and that would give us everything all at once, but we're still crossbreeding because remember, the end goal is the chestnuts. We want the chestnut trees. We hit that plant earlier. That was part of the problem. Hit the withering plant and then got attacked by a zombie. It's good fun. So we'll get a little bit of this. And it takes a hot minute for this stuff to process up, so you gotta kind of plan ahead and get stuff cooking. Oh, almost fell in a hole. It did fall in a hole. So we put that in our squeezer. We get some capsules out. We need to go over to, where is it here? No, there. Over here, let's grab some wood. We need to start making, because here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking to myself, look at all the trouble we went through to get these first few mutations. I mean, that was a lot of work, guys. And you only saw the results. You didn't get to sit through, the 7 to 10 minutes that it takes for those bees to breed and die, not counting interruptions for rain and logging in and out and all those sorts of things. So getting all those generations of bees becomes a lot of work. So what we want to make is more of these frames, these sticks, so we can make frames. Which brings me to another good thing. And we were using those project workbenches from some other mod, Project Red or some such thing. But there's a forestry thing. Work table. Pretty simple to make. In the vein of trying to keep within the forestry mod itself. And we're going to use this one to create frames specifically, so I think we want to keep that around our bee stuff. Let's put it right here. So the cool thing about, I thought I had some impregnated sticks. Let's grab all of our string. The cool thing about the work table is that it doesn't have the recipes like the workbench had, the project workbench, but it has a memory. It's smart. So if we remember, our recipe for a frame is like that, right? So whenever you make something with it, it remembers it over here. And it only stores 9. It stores the last 9 recipes that were crafted. So let's build as many of these as we can. Oh, let's shift click. Okay, so we get 3. It's time to get smart, guys. Clear. It's time to get a little bit smarter, because that was too much work. That was my point that I was building to, is that was too much work. We don't want to take that long to breed our bees, so we can get 3 and we have 1. And as soon as we get some more sticks, we can get more, right? So that is, we're going to put these soul frames in here. We're going to start using some tricks. Let's see, did these stack? Okay, so yes, that means that this bee is pure because it's the drone stacked back with the original. That means you've successfully cloned. That's the indicator that you're looking for. So what we have are 4. We got a bunch of bees here. Oh, it is so distracting. I apologize. We need some common drones. I know I'm all over the place, but this kind of all makes sense to me, so bear with me. So if we do a cultivated with a common, this is our breed, and we're going to put them in, and then we're going to go talk about what it is that we're trying to accomplish and a little bit about the science of bee breeding, because right now we've been just kind of haphazardly throwing things in boxes without a lot of explanation. All we know so far is that this makes that, but we don't know why. And it's important to know the why and the how, because then you can learn how to cheat, right? So these aren't going to do anything until the morning, which is kind of nice because that'll give us some time to get our frames crafted up. In fact, we've probably got quite a few sticks waiting for us. Yeah, so let's immediately make some more frames, and then the utility of this guy becomes truly evident, because then you can just click your recipes and you're good to go. Super fast. It's almost faster than being automated. Almost. I mean, like, it's about as fast as you can be and still be doing things manually. So this will be a good comparison. We'll do these 4 with the frames and these 4 without, and then we'll see where that gets us. Now we need to get back to we were going to talk about bees and the why and the how. So here's how it works. Remember, each bee has a dominant and a recessive trait. If we're looking at, let's grab our beealyzer, and that brings us to this. We're going to analyze this drone. The steadfast drone is a drone that you can only find in chests. It's a loot only drone. So it has a nocturnal feature, which is nice, but that's not so difficult to find. I actually honestly don't remember. It's cave dwelling as well, which is fantastic. I think it makes something really cool, the cocoa comb. Yes. And it also, I believe whatever you can breed this to also generates sugar. So you end up with chocolate and sugar from the one bee, which is kind of fun. And the chocolate also gives you the supply of cocoa beans, which allows you to make the chocolate frames. So we want to try, what we're going to do is try to clone that. We only got 4 of them, courtesy of Blue Sagny. So we're going to take a little bit of a risk here and see if we can't make a 4th-generation clone out of that. It's doable. It actually takes a little bit of bad luck for it not to work in 4 generations. You saw all those other ones. They still had 2 drones in it at the end when they were purebred. So pretty good shot. Pretty good shot. But the point was is that we have this active and this inactive trait. And so that's what this board represents. You have BA and BB, B number 2. And so when you cross them, you're crossing this guy with this guy, the active with the active, and then the active with the inactive, and then this active with this inactive. And so at each place you have to examine what the possible outcomes are. Right here we see that we have a forest and a common crossing, so that's going to give us either a forest common, forest meadows rather, or it's going to give us a mutation that gives us a common, right? And so in this case, that's going to be the same in every box because you're just going straight across. But what happens if we do, oops, I'm out of range, wrong button. Happens if we do this. Right? So here's a little bit of me having to recant what I said before. So now we have the meadows and the meadows crossing, which is always going to give you a meadows, right? And you have the forest and the forest crossing, which is always going to give you a forest. And so, in fact, when I was saying I think that is the same amount of a chance as giving us a mutation as a straight B, I was totally wrong. It actually is only 50% as good. So if you're really looking at just driving a mutation, purebred is going to be the way to go every time, apparently. That's what we're learning. So by using this logic, and we will refer back to this from time to time when we want to look at some kind of a weird, when we get into a weird breeding situation, we're going to come and pin it up on this little board here and see what it looks like, and maybe that'll help guide some of our decisions. So that's happy times, and it looks like the sun is coming up and the rain has stopped, so these bees should be going to work. Yes, and we got our soul frames in there. So now let us go down. Let us, oh, we need to put these guys in a hive. Oh, that's a queen. We don't want a queen, we want a princess, and that was a hostile environment anyway, which means I'm gonna have to go to a desert probably. So let's just grab this Meadows guy here and see if we can get lucky and secure us a steadfast strain. Yep, and that's okay, that's working. That flashed that unusable. So next, let us go down and examine some trees. Why don't I think a mouse click is going to put those on my face? That would be a handy feature, but... Oh, we also need us a grafter. Which we already had. Okay. Hopefully, we can get at least one. That would not be it. If we remember, the chestnut tree is a cross between the walnut and the cherry. So, oh, we're out of grafter. That sucks. Okay, I'm going to go back to base. I'm going to make some grafters, and I'm going to come back, and when these bees are done, I'm going to cut back in. I'll be back momentarily. Alright, so we're back, and it's raining again. Great, good times. Common. So if you remember, all of these were common cultivated. Every cross that we did was common cultivated. So that makes our response, our results a little bit easier to track. So let's check on our two non-frame, well, that was interesting, stacking drones. So they're probably just like a straight cross. Nothing probably too exciting going to come out of this from the looks of things. Cultivated diligent. We don't need diligent. So that's what we got out of that mess. Kinda interesting. Oops. Kinda interesting. And we'll consider coming back to this and possibly using them again, or maybe cloning them back to something else. 10 generations in captivity. What we're really after right now is noble. So let's see what we get out of our extra mutated. So we're already seeing a little bit more variety, common, cultivated, and diligent, all in the one. Oh, that looks like an instant replay. There's noble. That could be good stuff. Let's check that out first. Hey, that's a purebred noble bee. If we can get a princess. Wisp, dang it. Oh look, they're all over me. Go away. Shoo. That seems to have worked. Oh yeah, you know what I got now? I got a bow. You want to come back? Pew! Oh, you're going to be so hard to hit. Pew! Oh, and then they dodge. Never mind. That's crazy. Maybe bowmaster. Archer mastery. Okay, where were we? Let's look at our princesses. Diligent noble. Common noble. Cultivated. How did we end up with any kind of forest anything in there? One of those must not have been fully cloned. Common cultivated. So we got this noble and this noble. Interesting possibilities present themselves. This is the downside of doing many generations as opposed to just a couple on cameras, that we all have to sit through a lot of extra BLizing. So not really much noble going on in all of that, which is unfortunate, but we might be able to get something out of this if we do a little mock-up here on our board. So let's see what we're working with here. We have straight noble, and we have a diligent noble, and we have a common noble. Well, diligent noble isn't really going to work because, well, it might. Okay, this is a good opportunity to introduce another good trick that we can use to our advantage. Actually, this is great. We need a couple of slabs. Pretty sure it was this. Tell me, yeah. We really just need like 2 of them, maybe. The bee house, if you recall from episode, maybe it was 1, I think, when we talked about bee houses. It might have been episode 2, but it was very early in the series. The bee house does not allow for mutations. So, consequently, if we put something like this in here, we no longer have to worry about the possibility of a random mutation. We can just worry about a straight cross of what the 2 species are. Noble, common. See, that gives us 3/4 of the equation as noble. It's kind of crazy, but I say let's go for it. Let's put that in there. The rest of this stuff is all going to have to get cloned back to regular bees, because none of it really helps us. This, potentially, maybe I'll keep her around just for a little while until we prove that she's not useful. But the rest of this is all basically junk, and we didn't realize that. 2 stacking diligent something. 2 stacking purebred diligent. See, so you can see that the, oops. Keep doing that. Did you get sucked up? Yep. It's going to be back at the other base in the overflow chest, assuming it's not already overflowed. Otherwise, they just went into the trash. That's okay, we don't really need them. We have a mated pair, and we can get more. So we're going to see what that gets us. The point we were pursuing before was grafters. Maybe some sticks. Need nearly that many. What do we want? Like maybe 2 grafters. I get carried away sometimes because normally my theory is I don't want to come back and craft it again. This may be another place where we want to put the recipe in our work table and then keep, or in a work table. I don't think in that one because it's going to fill up with frames pretty quick and frame related materials. Didn't look like anything. We want chestnuts. Whoa. That was weird. Must have been a little bit of lag. Oh, hey, look. Take that. Boom, boom, boom. It's like popcorn. And you and your 6 friends, where's the rest of yous? Yep, and here they come. It's non-stop now. Stupid nighttime. Is it? How many people are online? Not too many. It is not possible to sleep with no inventory space. Looks like our bees are spreading pollen up into the big trees. That's going to be kind of fun. The problem with that, though, is that they're also spreading pollen from the big trees down into our breeding area, and that's going to pollute our gene pool, which is unfortunate, but unless we want to cut down everything in the nearby area, we're kind of out of luck. And I don't want to deforest the whole, I don't really care about those saplings. We are just looking for the purebred thing. No, and we're out of grafters. Well, we're mostly out of blocks to break too. Well, maybe one more grafter's worth. I'll worry about that. But no, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm committed. We literally do not need any of these saplings. At this point, there's no reason to be hanging on to them. And let's put some of these bees away while we're at it. That's a different thing. And I'll worry about beelising them off camera, and if there's not going to be, I've done this enough times, there's not, you'd think there might be something interesting, and if the urge is still there, I still want to look, but honestly, there's not going to be anything interesting in there. What were we building, a grafter? Might as well make 2 more. See, this is why. Nope. This is why I was saying what I was saying. I don't want to do it again. I should have just made 4, and I thought, nah, I'll just make 2, because I don't want to get carried away, and here we are again. Running around in circles. I like circles because they're round. Just saying. Sweet chestnut. That's what we want. Ooh. But we need 4 of them, because like the walnut tree, it's a 2x2. So I think I saw one here, and whatever we don't get, I'll get later. That's not it. There's often, if we were to break that tree apart, you know, little by little, there's probably a good number of blocks inside there that we could have a go at, but that's a little bit more involved than I want to get right now, quite frankly. There we go, a couple more here. Ooh, that looked like it might have been something new. I didn't see. Butternut sapling. Hey, that's cool beans. Common walnut. Sweet chestnut. Sweet chestnut. They are 220 millibuckets of the seed oil per. And you saw how many walnuts we got. It's about the same yield, so maybe a 25% increase or so, a little bit less, 20%. I planted these trees. We got wild cherry. That's a lemon, citrus wood, lemon tree, and the orchard apple. So you can see this is an apple tree that grows apples like the nut tree does, where it's in the leaf block as a fruit as opposed to a drop when you break the leaf block. I don't know if there's a way to harvest those. I mean, by hand anyway. There's a fruit picker from Mine Factory Reloaded, and the multi-farm has an orchard function that we can use, and we will be using later to harvest nuts, not apples. But that's how it would be done. I don't know if there's a hand tool. It'd be interesting to look into. Maybe I'll see what I can find. Where does that leave us? We want to talk about the multi-farm a little bit. Oh, look at that. It's planting the saplings that have fallen. Common walnut. No, we don't want you to grow common walnut trees. All we need for this guy to be working right now is fuel. I'm not sure I want to turn it on. The other thing we have to discuss is a little bit of like what goes into actually making one of these run, because it's a little bit intensive and it takes quite a bit of behind the scenes maintenance to make one function seamlessly, because I think I mentioned in a previous video, when a tree grows on one of these humus blocks, it turns it into sand, which the multi-farm will then harvest and replace with a new, it uses dirt and makes this humus. So you got an output of sand and a need for dirt, and there's not really, there is a recipe to make dirt, but what is it? I don't even remember now. I don't think it was very easy. Oh, sand and a rotten flesh and saplings. Well, that's something that wasn't a thing before, or sand and leaf blocks. How else? Biochaff, don't even know. We're not into industrial craft at all, so we're not going to worry about that. that's our option. Sludge boiler, that's a good thing, but that's also not the mod we're into, and that's a pretty lame percentage when you start stacking up the need. So maybe this, we could use some kind of auto crafting with, we're going to have an overflow of saplings for sure. I'm sure these have to be forestry saplings, yeah. And rotten flesh is no problem. We got that from the spawner in spades, whatever, in vast quantities. So like some kind of automation to generate, and that would be a good way to recycle the sand produced by the farm. My other option I was considering was to get an ender quarry and then quarry out some kind of huge area, and then let's see, we got a bee that's gonna get swapped out, and then yep, 2 generations. It's showing steadfast as an active trait, and then come by with a buildcraft quarry and quarry out the whole thing, because the ender quarry replaces every block it mines with dirt. And so then you could quarry out, you know, like 1,000,000 blocks of dirt or whatever and be set for life. Or you could just have, well, no, that doesn't work because buildcraft quarries will just spit items out. There's no way to limit them without getting really creative, I don't think. Maybe some bee space and some sensors and some redstone signals and something like that, but that's another story. So it's a little bit of a short episode, but frankly, without re-cloning all those bees, that's about all we can accomplish in one go. I can't think of anything else we could really play with in the immediate sense. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it there, and when I get all those guys cloned back in, we'll just come back for some more forestry, but that's going to take a while. You know, that's at least 2 or 3 generations of bees, and we don't want to wait around for that. I don't actually have time to do that at the moment and finish this episode today. So there it is, short and sweet and to the point, I suppose, until the end anyway, where I rambled for an hour. You guys make sure and leave a like down there and maybe subscribe for some more forestry tidbits, and have a wonderful day.